hold on, we can roll to the other side. Inside my drum is a big beat.
Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by far. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a very important show today for those of you who, no matter what you eat, you get bloaty, gassy, and farty. We have a solution for you. Before we do that, we have to thank our title sponsor, and that's Legendary Foods. Right now, they have a brand new tasty pastry. For those of you who tried the original tasty pastry, it's more like a Pop-Tart. This one is a more flaky, it's like the crust on an apple turnover. Their new red velvet flavor, it can't stay on the shelf. 0 sugar, 5 net carbs, 20 grams of protein. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10, you will save 10% off your entire order. Also, if you want to win a box, we give away a box every single day. Listen to the commercials for the secret word. And sometimes we're reusing secret words. So if you hear this show weeks later, don't think that you're not eligible. Just if you hear the secret word during a commercial break, email it to onair@superhumanradio.net and you're entered to win a box a day. Check it out. Don't waste any time because these things are amazing. And now, bring my guest on. One of my favorite guests to spend time with is none other than Wade Lightheart. How you doing, Wade?
Doing great. Great to be here. As always, I love coming on the show. It's so much fun.
So I got to tell a story to set this discussion up. People don't understand how important this is that we're going to talk about. There are people out there that no matter what they eat, they bloat. Even if they're going carnivore. A lot of people I know, I'm carnivore. I don't understand why I'm getting bloated. No matter what they eat, they get bloated and they get gassy. They're belching all the time. This is not normal, folks. This is not normal. And the worst part of it is they generally have flatulence or farting. And these are the most horrible smelling farts in the world. So my nephew Timmy is living with us. He's been with us for 3 weeks now. And I got him training and eating. And so obviously he's I think he's 157 pounds. He's put on 7 pounds in 3 weeks and it's not fat. His abs are starting to show. But I've got him eating 150 to 200 grams of protein a day. Well, guess what? Every night, like clockwork, the kid has to go run outside because he's got such bad gas. So I told him about P3OM and Masszymes, and he started using it, and he doesn't have gas anymore. Why? Because the protein he's eating is actually being digested and not wasted to ferment in the colon. This is amazing. This is an example of how well these products work because he was troubled. He said, I don't understand this. I don't understand why I'm so gassy. And I said, because the protein's not completely digesting. It's making its way to the colon. It's digesting through fermentation, and that's making gas. Now it's gone. Isn't that amazing?
It's not uncommon, and anybody that's been inside a commercial gym where protein consumption tends to be in the excess, you go into the locker room and 50-60% of the time it's all you can bear to go in there from the stench that's going off. And these are supposed to be big, strong, healthy people. And years ago I discovered this, and a mentor who taught me all about digestive health, Dr. Michael O'Brien, said to me, Wade, you've learned to build the body from the outside in. What I'm going to teach you is how to build the body from the inside out. And, for those who don't know, I had a major, after the Mr. Universe contest, I had a major digestive disaster. I gained 42 pounds of fat and water. I had massive bloating. I couldn't stop it. I had sleep apnea. I had edema. I had gas, flash, all of those things. And this was in 2003, 2004. The contest was in November. In 2004, I'm a disaster. And I'm going, how's this possible? As I've reached the pinnacle of the aesthetic idea for human performance.
Right.
I've had Spartan discipline. I've got the best coach in the world. Why am I such a disaster? And fortunately, I ran into Dr. O'Brien, and he taught me these things that we're going to share today about the importance of digestion. And he said that undigested protein is the most common issue in inflammatory-based conditions across the board for everything. Brain fog, skin issues, anxiety, depression, neurochemical imbalances, inflammatory agents inside there, allergic reactions, as well as what we typically see as gas and bloating, which are just the precursors to something more nefarious coming down the road. And so I'm delighted today to join you and kind of share some of the insights that we've learned over the years and been able to provide solutions for people for the last 15 years.
Well, and I want to take this a little further, and we're not going to get deep into this, but what you're really talking about is the triggers for autoimmunity. When people talk about gluten intolerance, celiac disease, this is undigested gluten that's making it into the bloodstream. Gluten is protein. It's a protein. So most of the autoimmune disorders can be linked back to rogue proteins showing up in the bloodstream and triggering the immune system to not only go after that protein, but to go after tissue that looks like that protein, which could be thyroid or chondrocytes in the joints or rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. It's going after the nerves and agitating them. So while we're talking about this from a standpoint of like, oh, I don't want to be bloated anymore. I don't want to be gassy. I don't want to be farting all the time. Those components may actually be signs that autoimmune disorders are in your future. I would offer. I'm not a doctor, but I would offer that.
Well, we're looking at right now in the United States, 12% of the emergency hospital visits are related to gastrointestinal issues. And Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said all disease begins in the gut. And so what a lot of people don't recognize is, well, Wade, Carl, why is this happening in the world? And it's the unintended consequences of technological innovation. We radically altered the food production and supply chain 80 years ago after World War II. We dropped the bomb and started using nitrogen in monoculturing and then a host of chemicals to keep these plants, destroying the enzymes and the natural probiotics that were inherent in these foods that would help us break it down. I mean, if you look back to the writings of health practitioners in the 1900s, they were using gluten as a source of protein for vegetarians.
Right.
People were drinking raw milk because of the enzymatic component that broke down the casein. Now, we all know of people who can't digest milk. Well, now it's people can't digest wheat. And before you know it, people can't digest this meat and that meat. And it's because of the enzymatic deficiency and the dysbiosis in the microbiome that they don't have enough good guys to finish the conversion of the protein into the amino acids that we need. Because we don't need protein, we need the amino acids that protein gets broken down to through the digestive process.
So with that being said, I also want to say something else. Now, my listeners know that I'm not a zealot, and I can't put my heart and soul behind products just because someone pays to be a sponsor on the show. In fact, we've lost sponsors because they didn't see the results they hoped for because I wasn't willing to really go on the line and say, oh, buy this, this is great. So I can honestly say that since BiOptimizers has been a sponsor of this show, my health has improved and I have benefited from them being sponsors on the show. I do not miss a meal without Masszymes and P3OM. And I also use their HCl blend, but I use that a little differently. I use that about an hour to 45 minutes after I've eaten the meal so that I change the pH as quickly as possible to a more acidic pH. and my body is finishes digesting that food, so I'm ready for another meal. And I can tell you that the protein that I eat a lot of protein when I do. I'm time restricted feeding right now. So tonight I'll eat probably 2 pounds of beef in one sitting. I take the P3OM and the Masszymes and it's gone. It goes through me so much faster than just sitting there and waiting to be digested. So this is a product I believe in, because not because they're sponsors and they pay to be on the show, because it's helped me. It's helped me feel better. And some of my autoimmune issues are really getting better because I'm very diligent. Here's the other thing I want to say. These are not products that you buy and you use them for a month and you go, well, that didn't do anything. Because the terrain of your stomach took a long time to get effed up. It takes a long time to get back to normal where you want it to be. So you have to use these things consistently. I would say 3 to 6 months. And then all of a sudden you'll go, man, the foods don't bother me the way they used to. So I just want to put those 2 disclaimers out there, because I don't want somebody to buy and go, I used it for a month, Carl. I don't know what you're raving about. A month isn't long enough to change the terrain of your stomach, because it took you decades to get it where it is today.
Absolutely. And I think that's, in the holistic and natural health industry, the difference between kind of our medical version, and we've become addicted to, I have a problem, I need a pill to just fix the symptom, the discomfort. The discomfort is supposed to be a signal for us to alter our behavior. And when you keep shutting off the discomfort components, which was primarily what a lot of our medical interactions are doing. And obviously, if you're in excruciating pain from something, I think that's a positive thing. Right. However, you have to realize is that pain or discomfort serves as a heightened sense of awareness. It's a biological system for us to move away from that which could be causing disruption in our body. And as the pharmaceutical dependency has happened, and the New England Journal of Medicine has written, we do not treat disease, we treat the symptoms of the disease. Doctors are not trained in providing you proper nutritional information, proper explanations of how your digestive system works. They're just like, oh, you got a problem? We're going to cut that piece out of your colon. We're going to, incinerate those polyps. We're going to give you a drug to manage the inflammatory conditions, an anti-arthritic condition. We're going to give you an antidepressant to deal with the neurochemical imbalances. We're going to give you an antibiotic to deal with your inability to manage the bacteria which we're exposed to. And we're living in this world that people can't interact. We're locked into our houses. We're told that we're supposed to wear masks, which don't make any sense. And we're actually accelerating our natural defense mechanisms. On top of that, we're providing a host of foods that taste great, but do not provide the nutrition, and oftentimes feed the bad bacteria causing these dysbioses. And what do we have? We have people who are fat, who are tired, who are scared, who are fearful in the world. And all of this correlates with your bacteria structure inside your intestinal tract, which manage and develops a lot of the neurochemicals that make your brain operate properly. Right. And when you have quote unquote stinking thinking or aversion to normal human interaction, a lot of it can be traced to a dysfunctional microbiome. And we as natural health advocates, and I'm not against the medical system. What I'm against is the over-reliance and dependency upon symptom-based issues as opposed to addressing the underlying lifestyle issue. And that means we have to take personal responsibility. And so in my own case, and I'm preaching because I had to do the exact same thing. I had to stop what I was doing. I had to reintroduce the proper enzymes and hydrochloric acid and the proper bacteria back into my intestinal tract. And guess what? In 6 months, not only did I go from being 42 pounds over the weight that I should have been at, I got my health back. But here's the part that was interesting. Leading up to my competitive endeavors, I had joint pain, I had brain fog, I had low energy. My skin wasn't great. And that was just a generally accepted norm in the world of high performance bodybuilding. They said, well, that's just contest dieting. That's normal. So what I was following was, quote unquote, a performance-based diet that allowed me to perform at a certain level, but that was compromising my health. And then when I got it back, I got my health figured out. Not only could I have the health, I could also have the performance and the aesthetics, which is why we deal with those three areas that people get attracted to this. And so for those who are listening, I'm encouraging to listen to what Carl is sharing with you, because you have the power to transform and take charge of your health. And if you don't, you will absolutely lose it.
Yeah, it's scary. And the problem really is, in the words of Dr. Suzanne Turner, who's been working with me on some of these autoimmune issues, it's a lot easier to stop these things from beginning than it is to reverse them once they begin. And and so if you're saying stuff, yeah, but I don't have these problems. Occasionally I do get gassy. There's nothing wrong with using these supplements as a prophylactic to developing these problems. I want to talk now specifically about this unique strain of a well-known, well-studied probiotic.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Okay, so when we started doing our work with the good doctor back in the day, he understood that there was a big issue with undigested proteins, as we identified in the correlative problems. And when you looked at all the different strains, there's all these different types of strains. L-plantarum was a very robust strain. Now, I'm going to extrapolate where the thinking came about this particular product, because this is beyond L-plantarum. You can go out and get L-plantarum everywhere, which is aggressive and it's a good strain. But what he was able to determine is, he knew as a medical doctor that there was a big issue with antibiotic resistant bacteria in hospital settings because of the prolific use of antibiotics, that the bacteria in hospitals eventually developed resistance to these strains. And one of the most unsafe places you can go now is a hospital. In fact, I have a friend who's a medical surgeon from Harvard, put the first stent in the body. He said what's amazing over the last 40 years of his career was that the amazing breakthroughs that surgery has, like where they used to have to open up your whole body to use a micro incision. He goes, but the ironic thing is people aren't dying from the surgeries like they used to. People are dying from the infection from the surgery. It's a completely thing. They could solve the problem, but the bacteria is the issue. Now, Michael understood this, and what he went out and did, and he started to search around for robust bacteria. L-plantarum fit that bill. And what he did is the same mentality that happened unintendedly in hospitals. Is we took that bacteria and we put it inside a toxic soup, a soup basically that the bacteria would have no capabilities of surviving. However, he ran a little sine wave through the toxic surf that would allow some of the better of these bacteria to survive. What was remaining after a period of time is you had 2%, maybe 5%, somewhere in that range, of bacteria strains which had mutated and had developed robust capabilities over other L-plantarums, and then started growing those new mutated strains on a variety of different mediums to see which ones were working best. And we were able to take that to the next level. We actually hired PhDs we have a couple of PhDs in microbiome. And what we do is we subject bacteria strains to a variety of conditions, everything from EMFs to giving them vitamins, you name it. We try all these different things and see what happens. And it turns out that L-plantarum has an incredible ability to break down undigested protein, turn it into amino acids. We put up the patent on our website. And the reason I cannot say in the world that we live in all of the capabilities that product has, but I can tell you this: I have absolutely no fear about obtaining any sort of viral infection. None. Why? Because I have been taking my P3OM every day for the last 15 years. Every night I take it before I go ahead. And anytime I feel a little bit off, I've been on the planes, I've been out in public, I've been exposed to something. Here's what I do. I come home, I take 10, 15 of these things at night, and it goes away the next morning. Just a little sniffle, little anything that feels up, boom. We take people who have food poisoning, which is just bad bacteria digesting it and creating toxins inside the body that upsets the body. Undefeated. We've taken hundreds of people. I'm the most popular guy every time I go to a Mexican resort, because everybody gets, the Montezumos event, right? I actually, when I go to these places, I take a suitcase full of P3OMs, because invariably I'm going to run into people and I'm like, here, just take a bottle of this. They're in pain. They're on, just take a bottle of that. Eat, just dump the whole bottle down your stomach. You'll be okay in 30 minutes. And guess what? Every single time, that's what happens. They're fine in 30 minutes. It's that powerful, that potent, and that effective. And so I feel it's my duty, my responsibility, my moral and ethical requirements. And one of the foundational things, since I did this for myself and Matt did it, my co-founder, we said that we were going to continue this message on. Dr. Michael is not with us anymore. And I swore I said to him, I will continue to tout this technology and this products and these things for the rest of my life. And that's what we continue to do it by Optimize. And it's really exciting to share it with your listeners.
There was a physician on my show probably over a decade, maybe 11 or 12 years ago. And she was a physician from the UK who had a son that had autism. And her book she wrote, still out there in publication, was all about the fact that she discovered by giving her, her son had terrible GI distress, which most people who have children on the spectrum know. Two things about them. They gravitate to sugar. They love sugar. They're obstinate and defiant about eating healthier foods. They just won't do it. They don't like the taste. They become defiant. And then they end up with horrible stomach problems, stomach pain, and difficulty, constipation. So she experimented with probiotics, and she discovered that giving her child L. plantarum would alleviate the stomach distress. Well, it also changed his level of defiance and obstinance, and the kid became more manageable. And over time, he became, and see, like I said before, it takes time for the gut to change. Mm-hmm. Over months, he was a different child, and she couldn't believe it. And so she had to write a book about it, because she felt that every parent who had a child on the spectrum needed to know about this. And so she was on my show. I just pulled up a study on the National Institutes of Health where they gave Lactobacillus plantarum to children on the spectrum disorder in Taiwan, of all places. And I'm going to glean the study, but the bottom line of the study was the results showed that the L. plantarum ameliorated opposition defiance behavior, and that the total score of SNAP, which is the system, the scoring system they use for opposition, for younger children aged 7 to 12, improved significantly compared with the placebo group. Now, think about this for a second.
Yeah.
You're talking about how the dysbiosis in the gut can lead to anxiety, social distress, and all that sort of stuff. Well, and people may say, oh, come on, Wade, you're just pushing your product. Well, here's a scientific study that shows that children on the spectrum who are unmanageable became less defiant, more manageable, and more from the spectrum to the normal side that they should have been by taking L. plantarum. Now, okay, that was a broad strain. Yours is stronger. I would submit, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a microbiologist, but if the basic strain works, then the improved, stronger, more robust strain should work, and maybe work even better. So we're talking about probiotics here. And people may think, oh, yeah, I get my probiotics at Walgreens or CVS or Duane Reade. And, no. This isn't your grandmother's probiotic. This is scientifically shown to change the way people act, even if they're on the spectrum. What could it do for you if you just have periods of, I get depressed some days, I just don't feel good. Maybe it's the microbes in your gut producing chemicals that are messing with your brain. We know that people say, oh, I crave something.
Right.
You don't crave it. The microbes in your gut crave it. They're sending signals to your brain. That's why when I was giving up coffee, I would drive past Starbucks. I would look at Starbucks. My brain would say, there's Starbucks. The microbes in my gut would go, feed me, feed me, feed me. And I almost have to talk myself out of driving into Starbucks to get a coffee. And after a couple of weeks, it subsided. But the microbes in your gut cause the cravings for sugar. They want sugar. You don't want it. They want it. And then you feed them. And guess what they do? The little bastards. They poop out stuff that messes with you. It causes inflammation. It causes your brain not to work well. So we are actually the support system and the slaves for the microbes that live in our gut. They don't have hands. They don't have feet. We do their job for them. I've theorized about this many times about it is a symbiotic relationship. And if you actually look the species which we share the most common elements it's fungi. We're actually more like fungi than anything else. And we had a common ancestor about 300 million years ago or something like that, according to science. Right.
Well, I had this whole thought like, well, what if humans are actually just a manufactured spacesuit for the bacteria strains that they all hang out and drive the ship?
Same exact thing. Like bacteria said, you know what we need? We need somebody who can stand up and grab stuff off of trees. We need someone who can walk around for us. And they are really the ones that are driving us. And we're just kind of like the vehicle. That's all we are.
If you look at bacteria, they're the most unique species. They fly through space on asteroids and survive and land in distant lands. They can stay dormant for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years before they become reactivated under other conditions. They're found in hot lava bolts. They just recently found some bacteria on Mars. Bacteria is the foundational single cell organisms that give seed to virtually all life.
Right.
And certainly with sentient beings like human beings, we're just literally every day, there's new information coming about this symbiotic relationship and its requirement. And so what we have to recognize is we need to nurture the guys that are going to support our health, our happiness, and we need to address the ones that are not supporting that. And for those people who are feeling the malaise of, I would say that's technological innovation, because we live in this highly technologically innovative world, which has a lot of benefits. And if you think about the level of ease that the average person experiences relative to humans throughout history, it's unparalleled. We live in unparalleled wealth, never before seen. Yet we have probably the most unhappy population ever in history. So what's the correlation? Well, the correlation is because we're not cultivating a proper symbiotic relationship in our inner terrain. And L-Plantarum is one of those things that can help people do that. In fact, we have a whole suite of digestive aids around this because we've literally dedicated our company's resources for 15 years to solve these problems because they're so widespread.
No, we're going to take a break, but I just want to tell my audience about an offer that's available to them. There's one of two ways. You can either go to shrnetwork.biz/P3OM and use code SHR10, or you can go to bioptimizers.com/SHR and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off this amazing probiotic. And don't just get it for your gut, get it for your children. I mean, I would imagine you probably give this to your dogs too. And I don't know about cats, but dogs for sure. But more importantly, when you get to that page, you can actually save up to 38% off of P3OM. And I'm telling you, it takes 3 to 6 months for the gut to actually start to change. So this is not going to be a waste of money, folks. You will see results if you use this product consistently day in and day out with your meals. Again, shrnetwork.biz/P3OM, code SHR10, or bioptimizers.com slash SHR, and SHR10 is the code. Jump on this. I'm not kidding around. This will change your gut if you're like me and you've developed gut problems, and it's a lifesaver. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Folks, I'm pleased to announce that Pure Nootropics is now carrying the antioxidant alpha-lipoic acid in its bioidentical natural form as R-Ala. R-Ala provides protection in many areas and has even been shown to promote weight loss. Check out the interview I did on episode 2608 back in October to learn more. Our friends at Pure Nootropics have been bringing you great products and deals since 2013, and they have another one with R-Ala. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure and use code SHR30 for a whopping 30% off. Level up. Go Pure. The power of light can be truly life-changing and an important element for every superhuman. Because of this, I want you to experience the power of award-winning Saluma light therapy. Saluma utilizes NASA research technology to improve health at the cellular level and is cleared by the FDA to effectively treat a variety of pain, muscle, and joint conditions, as well as facial wrinkles and acne. Our entire team here at Superhuman Radio uses it. Its innovative shape-taking design allows for easy placement anywhere on the body. Choose from 13 different models. For an exclusive listener discount, go to shrnetwork.biz/Saluma, that's CELLUMA, and use code SHR10 to save 10% off of one of these award-winning devices. Getting a massage post-workout is a proven strategy to facilitate better recovery. Getting to massage therapists can be difficult and expensive, especially in these times. The solution is the Meteor, a heated massage ball from Milestorm. Reduce pain and soreness and expedite recovery with the Meteor's research-backed vibration settings and therapeutic heat. It's convenient for travel and works on any body part. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Meteor and use code SHR15 for 15% off and free shipping if you buy 2 or more. Start recovering better today. P3OM uses a patented natural process to upgrade a well-researched probiotic strain that doubles every 20 minutes once inside your body. The patent proves this strain is proteolytic, meaning it digests protein. It's antiviral, antiretroviral. It eliminates pathogens and waste and is maintainable in the human digestive system. What it does better than any other strain is fight the bad guys, bugs like parasites, viruses, and other pathogens in your gut, and it doesn't require refrigeration. If you suffer from bloating, gas, indigestion, or you just need extra protection from viruses, aka bad bacteria, then I'd suggest trying this super single strain probiotic proven to wipe out bad bacteria. Go to bioptimizers.com/SHR to get a 10% discount coupon with code SHR10 and free shipping on all products. Or save even bigger by signing up to one of the plans to get as much as 38% off. That's bioptimizers.com/SHR. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
Welcome back. I'm getting a little more sophisticated with the production of the video. I don't know if we're trying to run commercials, visual commercials. It's just a lot more for me to do, but eventually I will get a producer in here that will produce my show for me. We're talking. Yeah, I'm trying. I want to keep it fresh. I want to stay current. I don't want to get, too old looking, like, he doesn't do anything. I'm trying. We're here today with Wade Lightheart from bioptimizers.com. We're talking about P3OM, which is an amazing probiotic that everyone should be taking, really. There are certain supplements that are foundational. And then there's the sexy ones that you try, you move them in and out. Yeah, that didn't do anything. But there's certain supplements that are foundational. And the reality is that Bioptimizers focuses on foundational supplements that help you build and maintain a healthy gut. And most of the diseases of modernity come from the gut. If you look at autoimmune disorders, people who develop rheumatoid arthritis, they develop all of these different autoimmune disorders. They always have horrible guts. They have horrible guts for a decade. Then all of a sudden, this other symptom comes up. Don't be one of those people. Like, if you even see that your gut isn't doing well, things you eat are making you burp all the time, you're gassy, you feel bloated, your stomach is getting distended, you go, my God, I can't believe my stomach is sticking out so far. Bloating and distended stomachs is not normal. It's not. And this is the way you keep these problems from really causing you lifelong illness. You take care of your gut now. So we talked about how autism is affected by this particular probiotic. There's also a study out there that shows that this probiotic may possess some sort of anti-aging. It was given to rodents at one time, and they started to display the same actions and ability to work through the maze faster as their younger counterparts. Is there any evidence that you've come across that this may affect maybe the accumulation of senescent cells or anything like that?
Well, I would say from a general observational point, because one of the things that we are very advocate, we just came out with a new book called The Bioptimization Blueprint, which is how we systemically go through addressing how do we not just live long, but live strong while we live long. In other words, can we extend our lifespan, but we certainly can extend what our healthy lifespan. And right now, the New England Journal of Medicine did an article from Professor Oshansky during the Bush administration, which was forcibly redacted. He wasn't allowed to make some of the conclusions that he made. And that was, number one, for the first time ever, Americans' lifespan was on the decline.
Right.
But the disability adjusted lifespan was 60 years old. In other words, the expectation was, as an American, you would have some sort of disability associated with becoming 60 years old. You'd be dependent on some sort of medical intervention that compromised the quality of your life to varying degrees for the rest of your years. Devastating. And he also stated that children today had a lower life expectancy than their parents for the first time ever. And of course, a couple years ago, when the research came out about the abuse of opioids, particularly in the Midwestern places, that life expectancy started to drop again because people are dropping off at a much earlier age because of the dependency on these, which oftentimes have correlation with depression and inflammatory conditions and dysbiosis that we were talking about, the ability to manage neurotransmitter formation. And we know that depression, and not just the clinical depression, but just lower levels of depression that people say, I'm not feeling good, or I don't have that zest for life, are definitely correlated with shorter lifespans. And so what I would put forth in all species, what I would put forth is, and I'm extrapolating theory to kind of go here. I want to be clear, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not researching, I'm not a life extension guy or whatever. However, I think that using common sense and deductive reasoning and rationale, anytime that I can reduce the load of damaging materials entering into my body, whether that's a bacteria, whether that's a virus, whether that is a free radical from a chemical or from something that I've taken in, I am going to preserve some of the natural resources available to my body.
Yes.
So I would put forth the concept of, we have it's often described as the life force, the elan vital, the energetic components of the body. And there's a variety of ways to achieve that. I would also say that anything that causes damage to the system, psychologically, emotionally, biochemically, physiologically, or whatever, requires us to take these resources in order to create the repair and regeneration of that tissue.
In fact, that phenomenon is called allostatic load. It's the accumulation of this little thing and that little thing and that little thing, and as the years roll out, all of it, your body okay, you hurt your ankle when you were 14 years old. Your body manages that. Now you hurt your knee, your body manages that. Now you're starting to see the signs of aging where maybe you've got neuropathies and that your body, it's all of a sudden, all of the resources of just living are going to managing the allostatic load of all the things that have gone wrong with your body. Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a fact. It's a phenomenon.
And anyone can draw on this from just observation. For example, if I was to go out and start abusing like crystal meth and heroin or something, the aging and degeneration that would happen to my body would accelerate the aging process significantly, and the likelihood of my lifespan shrinking rapidly, as well as the quality of my life, is obvious. Anyone that has seen anyone or knows anyone that has been caught in the throes of addiction to these horrible agents witnesses that. We also know from longevity studies is the one common element that we have determined is a reduction of food consumption. That's the one element that will extend life. So I looked at it was, well, is it actually the reduction of food consumption is the issue? And I put forth, I don't think that's the issue. I think it is your capability of managing the food that you're eating is determinant in the long term, because there's another aspect to this equation that I think is now starting to get more traction. And that is nutrient optimization for longevity. So many diseases or conditions or failures within the natural biochemical processes inside the body are associated with deficiencies. And we're widely deficient, and almost no one knows what an optimal level of nutrients is for longevity. And so I would put forth that not only does one have to reduce the load of chemicalization and toxicity in the system, you need to optimize the digestive process so that you can cut down on that load. And then the third thing is you need to be able to identify and address the nutrient deficiencies that you might have due to genetics, epigenetics, or digestive dysfunction, or some disrupted process inside the body, and address those things. And I think if you do that three-pronged approach, you are going to see an extension certainly in the quality of life, and perhaps even an extension. And so one of the reasons that we started with digestion is we knew that is how we generally obtain all of these things. And such with 100 million people on any given day in this country with digestive issues, like a third of the population, with 25% of those on permanent prescription medications.
Right.
Let's address that to improve the quality of life. And for 15 years, I get testimonials every single week from people who have made astounding shifts in the quality of their life from using our products.
Right.
And that's why we give a money back guarantee. If people don't feel amazing from it, if they don't like it, we provide information of how to use it and utilize it, and the various things that you can do in order to optimize its performance, as well as other things. We give away education courses about lifestyle intervention that you can make and change alterations. And it's just a great day. I mean, every day I wake up and I'm excited to share these things with people, because I want to live a long time and I want to live strong during that lifetime. And for people who are interested in that, I think we provide some options for them.
And I want to capitalize on something you said for a second, because it's something that I've always theorized too. The real value in caloric restriction is less wear and tear.
Mm-hmm.
And so think about this for a second. If you have a car, it has 100,000 miles on it, the engine goes bad. I mean, we know why the shocks and the tires go bad, because there's wear and tear on them. But the engine wears out because of the wear and tear of consuming, combusting fuel. Just that process. So if you had the ability to take some of that wear and tear off of the engine would last forever. If you change your oil every day, if you did a tune-up every day, if you put the engine back into its ideal status every single day, then you would end up with an engine that goes 500, 600, 800,000 miles without any problem. What these products do is they take the wear and tear off of the gut from handling and doing the things it needs to do with food. It enhances digestion, takes some of the workload of breaking the food down, making it easier to digest. The system isn't taxed as much, just making the food move through. So it makes perfect sense what you just said on why this type of an approach of dealing with digestion would enhance lifespan, in my humble opinion. Because the reason calorie restriction works isn't because you're starving yourself, because that's the miserable part. It's because you're not putting through all that fuel, and the body has to deal with it and the wear and tear and result of that. It makes perfect sense. It really does. Really does. So I want to ask you something you just mentioned. So people who take opioids have horrible gut problems. I'm sure that you're aware of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They end up very constipated. Would P3OM be a good idea for people who are legitimately having to take opioids for pain management? They really don't have any other choice. Maybe P3OM, Masszyme, and the HCl, the hydrochloric acid supplement that I use post meal. Could it help them? It may not increase gut motility, but wouldn't it at least allow them to have a more normal functioning digestive process?
Well, I'm not a medical expert on those areas. However, I would extrapolate some information I think that makes logical sense. Anytime that you are taking an externalized drug, chemical, whatever the medical requirement that your doctor has provided, you are feeding the bacteria inside your body, which are essential to your life, and they are getting exposed to the same drugs, the same chemicals, the same, and whatever that service is.
Right.
And the reaction within those strains is going to be significant. And I do believe that, I think that the reason people will gravitate to certain types of diets, or will gravitate or have a wide variance in the reactivity of various drugs that they're taking, are directly correlated to the impact and the nature of their own microbiome.
Yeah.
I think this is the controlling element. We're looking for a biochemical action, but what we are not taking into consideration is of how much or how well that drug is, or that chemical is absorbed, utilized, and distributed to the body, and what residual side effects might entail, because maybe you don't have the bacteria that manages that very well. Maybe you don't have the bacteria that makes the polypeptide chains for your neurotransmitters, and that this could be the thing that changes everything.
I have to offer evidence of how spot on you are. When pharmaceutical companies make drugs that they want to distribute globally, they have to do different research in India, for instance, than in the United States, because the Indian population has vastly different microbiome than here in the United States. They can have a drug that works marvelously here in the United States, but in India, it produces no benefits at all. So you're spot on. The microbiome plays a large role in both the effects and the effectiveness of drugs. And when you get into different populations, they have to do research just on those groups. I have to put something up here for Natalie too. It looks like shrnetwork.biz/P3OM link is not working. So we'll look into that. But in the meantime, you can use bioptimizers.com/SHR. And I'll put that up here for everybody to see here in just a second. So we'll do that. Yeah, Natalie, I need you to check if you're still watching live. It looks like the P3OM link that we created on our Bitly, because we like to track this stuff too. It doesn't look like it's working properly. We'll get that fixed right away. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Otherwise they would just test all their drugs here in the United States and they would work all over the world, but they don't. So
You know, this is one of my pet peeves within double-blind research studies where they select a group of individuals for their trials. But what they don't attest for is unique bioindividuality of that particular groups. We don't know what their microbiome is. We don't know what their epigenetics are. We don't know what their genetic stuff. We don't know what systems are comprised within those individuals. And therefore, we're still making very, very broad generalizations on the research and evidence that's put forth. And of course, most integrous researchers will say the same thing. They'll say, well, we need more studies to determine whether this is true. Now, here's a problem with that. You and I have a limited time on this planet. And if we're in a compromised situation specifically, where our quality of life is directly compromised, we don't have time to wait for 30 years of medical research in order to fix our problem. Nor do we want to wait in order to see if, well, should I take this or take that? So we've cut the curve. That's why we cut the curve. That's why we back everything with 100% guarantee. That's why if something doesn't work for people in an amazing way, we just give their money back. Why? Because we are encouraging people to do what humans have done throughout history, and that's to take control of their health by running experiments on themselves in a controlled manner, saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to try this product for a month. I'm going to try this training program for a month. I'm going to try this diet for a month. I'm going to extend a personal experiment on myself and see what the results are. And one of the things I think why you and I connect so well, Carl, is because we have been continuously doing a variety of experiments on ourselves.
Yes.
Virtually our whole adult life.
Yes.
And it gives a zest for life. It gives nuance into research versus applicable stuff that, you know, really produces results. And it makes life fun and exciting. And hey, I'm like you. I've got tons of experiments that failed.
Right.
But they didn't really fail because I learned something. Learned what worked for me. I didn't get the result I hoped. Sometimes I get results that I didn't expect.
Right.
But what's exciting is every day we get on the call, and you and I, that we get on these calls, or my other friends in this community, and we're excited about life because, like, hey, I tried this new thing. Hey, what'd you get out of it? And then all of a sudden we're back into the discovery of life instead of just push a button and get instructed by whoever to believe this or to do this or to become completely dependent on somebody else's opinion. And I don't anticipate, or I don't want anyone just to believe me for what I say. I don't want anybody to say, oh, he's a whatever, or they say he's just on a soapbox promoting his product, or that doesn't work, or whatever. Hey, I'm willing to put my money on the table all in. I take away all the risk for people. You don't have to risk anything. What have you got to lose? Nothing. What do you potentially have to gain? Everything. And when you have those type of options in life, then I think you can move forward in life in a great way, and humanity can get a little healthier.
We're going to take a break here. So here's the deal. It's shrnetwork.biz/P3OM. The P, the O, and the M are lowercase. It works. The problem is that you have a lowercase P and an uppercase O and M, but I'll have Natalie make both of those functioning links for anybody who may make the error. It may be that way on the placard that I have running too. So we'll get that fixed here really quickly. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I have one more thing I want to ask Wade about when they exposed this particular strain of L. plantarum to what the effects were. Stay tuned. We're going to learn something interesting.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. P3OM uses a patented natural process to upgrade a well-researched probiotic strain that doubles every 20 minutes once inside your body. The patent proves this strain is proteolytic, meaning it digests protein. It's antiviral, antiretroviral. It eliminates pathogens and waste and is maintainable in the human digestive system. What it does better than any other strain is fight the bad guys, bugs like parasites, viruses, and other pathogens in your gut, and it doesn't require refrigeration. If you suffer from bloating, gas, indigestion, or you just need extra protection from viruses, aka bad bacteria, then I'd suggest trying this super single strain probiotic proven to wipe out bad bacteria. Go to bioptimizers.com/SHR to get a 10% discount coupon with code SHR10 and free shipping on all products. Or save even bigger by signing up to one of the plans to get as much as 38% off. That's bioptimizers.com/SHR. Meteor. Are you ready to change the way you age? Of course you are. That's why you're here. Juvicel is a new first-of-its-kind dietary supplement that includes 10 key research-backed ingredients shown in studies to support lifespan. Things like resveratrol, fisetin, quercetin, pterostilbene, sulforaphane, turmeric, all in a single dose. You may have some of these ingredients already, but Juvicel is the first to combine them all into a single product to support your lifespan. It's vegan, non-GMO, and sustainable. Live better longer with Juvicel. Go to shrnetwork.biz/live better. Use code SHR and save 20% off today. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. So something's fascinating to me. You mentioned that when you guys were working on developing P3OM, you exposed this particular probiotic to a variety of different potential insults that could have changed it, mutated it, and so on. And you mentioned RF. There is now research showing that the RF from our 3G and above cell phones is actually changing microbiome diversity. You know, we're not thinking about this, right? People carry their phones in their pockets. You know, you got a router that's probably in that same frequency range that you're living around. You probably have a cordless phone in your home that's in that same frequency range. And we are now seeing shifts. So the studies I saw only showed shifts between bacteriodetes and firmicutes. But there's plenty of evidence that a shift in those can lead to obesity or leanness. And so what did you learn when you did you get anything out of exposing this particular probiotic to RF? Did it kill it? Did it make it thrive? Anything?
Great questions. And sometime this year, and we are compiling an extensive amount of research of what is supportive to these strains and some of the other strains that we've developed. What I can say is that EMF radiation as a general rule, on about 80% of the bacteria will cause negative mutations. However, under certain circumstances, in the presence of specific vitamins and minerals and things like that, there can be a mutation in the positive direction.
Really?
So it's not totally negative.
Right.
Now, the results that we have right now are inconclusive. In other words, we're trying to generate a supportive environment so that when exposed to radioactive or electromagnetic pollution or frequencies, that we can find a way to mitigate and optimize by teaching the bacteria how to adapt to the frequencies. And so what I would say is that everything that we experience in life is an adaptive evolutionary response. And we're to provide or to use our intelligence to be able to, quote unquote, roll with the punches.
Right.
In other words, if you look at Darwin's work with the blue-footed bluey bird, I love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say survival of the fittest. He said survival of the most adaptable. And I would say that taking regular amounts of quality nutrients in the body, quality bacteria, L-plantarum and stuff, will help you give yourself an evolutionary advantage under the electromagnetic circumstances and all the generalized chemical nature of the world that we live in, a highly technologically innovative world. And I would say that if you don't do that, the challenges between you and your offspring are well evidenced by just taking a walk down the street and listening to parents and families and all the complications that they're having surviving under these conditions. And so for us, our mission is to keep spreading this, to end physical suffering, to activate biologically optimized health. And I do believe we are going to be able to release that research a little bit later this year, and it's groundbreaking.
I can't wait because I've said, people think we've stopped evolving. There are new selection pressures weighing on us right now, but they're not famine. They're not ice age. They're these modern technologies that we've introduced, blue light, all this stuff. And it makes perfect sense that there is yet going to be another culling, if you will, of people who are not equipped. So what will happen is they'll die before they have offspring. They'll develop diseases and not have offspring, and they will be weeded out of the gene pool because they couldn't, to steal your term, roll with the punches of modernity. So we're still evolving. We're still watching evolution here, folks. It's true.
Evolution doesn't stop. And creation is nothing more than the evolutionary adaptation to whatever pressures that we're going through. We're traveling at 1.5 million miles an hour, blasted out of the center of the universe, 14 billion years ago, spinning around a galaxy at 1,000 miles an hour, spinning on a planet at 24,000 miles. Like, we are living in an extremely remarkable state of existence just to even be here. And to think that things have stopped is absolutely insane and asinine. And so as intelligent people, we want to put every resource that we can to encourage the growth and development and evolution of life and eliminate the things that we think they're going to disrupt that process. I do believe it's our moral and ethical duty. And thank you for having me on the Superhuman Podcast, because it's so great to be here. Thank
you for being here today. And we're actually going to pull the plug. This is all we have for this week. So we'll see you next week with more. And please, we're going to fix this link here, but go to bioptimizers.com/SHR. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off, and check out the plans where you can actually save up to 38%. We'll see everybody next week. Take care, brother.
Take care.
Okay.